Call the meeting to order. We'll have a roll call by the superintendent, regional school board prayer by Mr. Lewis tonight, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Vice President Barris. Give you a break.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Meyer,
Here.
Mrs. Barra, Ms. Fletcher Mickens, Mr. Abear, Mr. Washington, Mrs. Hood,
Here.
Mrs. Arso, Mrs. Dugas. Mr. President, you have a quorum? Yep, Mr. Abear. Perfect.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Wilford Dagg lost his oldest son, and everybody should keep him. Yes, sure was.
Yeah,
Yep,
Trip had the lease with us, right?
Right.
he
Yeah,
did.
okay.
He did. So everybody, keep Mr. Wilford and Miss Glenda and the family and Tommy in y'all prayers.
Gracious God, Father Almighty, we thank you for this day, dear Lord. We particularly thank you because you've been so kind, so merciful for us to enjoy your day that you have created with your own hand, and yet we are part of. We thank you for this congregation, dear Lord. We ask that you enshrine your loving arm of protection around this school district and everyone therein. Please watch over the Daigle family, dear Lord, as they suffer and loss or mourn of a family member. Dear Lord, we thank you for everything, and I ask that you sincerely watch over our properties as we gradually approach into this hurricane season. Thank you, dear Lord, again, once again, for being so kind and merciful to each and every one of us within the sound of my voice. We should all pray and say, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Coombs, second by Mr. Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Need a motion to adopt of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Dodd, second by Ms. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You guys all have your administration personnel report in your package, and you can read it at your leisure. Under reports and recognitions, item B, recognize and honor Mia Landry and Kennedy Crochet, Pierpont Elementary students, for placing second in biomedical and health science at the Louisiana Science and Engineering Fair.
Miss Stacy, we have the sponsor here. I don't know if she wants to.
Does somebody
say a few
want to
words.
speak?
Yeah, come on up, Miss Mister. Come on up. Yes, she is. I didn't see her over there.
So I don't have an exact number, but Mr. John was very thrilled when we got back. He said as long as he's been teaching, it was only about once or twice that our students had placed at the state level. So I'm very proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Girls, do y'all mind telling us what your topic was?
Our project was about pH levels in different types of waters.
And what did you learn?
We learned that that acidic and alkaline, like acidic is more on your acid side and alkaline is more on your mineral side.
You can wait for them off. That's fine. Y'all, just kind of stand to the side when we get everybody to take one big picture.
And next on the agenda, we're going to recognize and honor, again, Mia Landry and Kennedy Crochet, students for placing third in anthropology at the Louisiana State Social Studies Fair. 2 in a row.
Tell us about the project.
So we did it on rural life, a life of labor, and like we did it like how they worked in life and like about the outhouse and cistern and all the different like how the houses grew by time went on.
Good job.
Okay, very good. Okay, next we want to recognize and honor Seth Mobile and Neva Barrio, Pierpont students for placing first in geography at the Louisiana State Social Fair.
Hi.
Hi.
So we did swamp versus marsh, and the difference was that swamp is way different than the marsh, and the swamp has more trees and then the marsh. So we compared the two between each other, and we had to compare them.
Do you want to say something?
We learned that they have different animals that live in separate environments and they eat different kind of like they hunt different prey in different environments and yeah.
Very good. Okay, next we want to recognize and honor Aubrey Crochet, Pierpont Elementary student for placing fourth in history at the Louisiana State Social Studies Fair.
I did the Olympics through time, and I learned that the Olympics was actually banned for over a century. And the Olympic rings represent the 5 continents that participated in the Olympics.
Very good, very good. Okay, and now we want to recognize and honor Saul Olet and Dayton Bro, Pierpont Elementary students for placing 5th in the history.
Thank you. Our project was about the history of basketball. And I learned that the creator was James Naismith, and he created a beautiful sport.
And also, we figured out like why he created it, what date it was, and like the whole purpose of him creating it.
Very good. Good job. Next, we recognize and honor Allie Hugh, Pierpont Elementary student, for participating in the Louisiana State Social Studies Fair in Louisiana and history.
So my project was about the Louisiana culture, past and present, of how people spoke French back then, but they didn't really want them to speak French. So my grandma told me if they spoke French, she would have to sit in a classroom and write down, I would never speak French again.
Not a good idea, right?
No.
That was a bad idea. But that's great.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job. No. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ms. Frankie.
Beginning of the year, and all of these students participating in social studies. This is probably the biggest show we've had at a state competition, and everything they did, they worked at home. We don't have any instructions on to do this, and this was all on their own. This was something, you find something you want to do, and put your heart and soul into it. It takes a lot of time on top of everything else they have to do, so I just want to congratulate them one more time.
Why don't y'all get y'all in the picture with him? Thank you, Ms. Misty and Ms. Frankie, for going the extra mile with these children. Thank y'all so much.
Yes, thank y'all and congratulations to all.
Without the sponsors, we wouldn't get very far, would we? Congratulations to everybody. Next, we're going to recognize and honor the 2022-2023 Assumption High School Support Person of the Year.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if when I was their age, I could have got up here and done that. That's kind of impressive. All right. Let me start off by, this is actually the last school. We've completely made our cycle. Last but not least, we did leave the high school for last. This candidate, who is a support employee for the month of May, and I actually went to ask this question because I know she's been there for a while. So I had to go ask how many years she's actually been in the system, and actually it's 41 years. Wow. So that's a extremely long time to be dedicated toward the students, either of Assumption Parish or students in general, and doing that kind of support, and what she has been since I've known her inside of the resource room. And it takes a very special person to work with those kids and care for those kids every day, day in and day out. So this year's May 2023 Support Employee of the Month from Assumption High School is Miss Susan McGee.
I've enjoyed every year.
Thank you so much.
You have to enjoy it. Put in 40.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Next on the agenda item, child nutrition, you know, let me give a little background to everyone who doesn't know. Back in December, we actually lost our supervisor. And what I can say about the past supervisor is when she did leave us where everything was done. She had timetables done. She projected things. So when she left this school system, I can honestly say that we didn't have anything that we had to go back and catch up. So that's a testament to that person's character when they leave the school system. But once that happened, I turned into the supervisor of child nutrition, which was kind of interesting. And it was really by name only. The two people I'm about to recognize, I can honestly say that if it wouldn't have been for these two people stepping up and doing the job that was actually a supervisor role, which they are not anywhere close to that, the program would have just faltered. We would have fed kids, and I don't think y'all gotten any complaints as far as the hiccup in there. Anything, we've just recently hired, and I'm gonna introduce him after, a supervisor of child nutrition, but for about 4 months, we didn't have anybody in there. I want to honestly say that these two individuals have worked overtime. They've done everything that they could possibly think of. They came in on weekends if they have to. They've done everything. This is the kind of people we want to employ and have in our school system because they're really just trying to service and do their jobs. So this year we have two people I want to recognize. One is actually has a combination role. She is actually the Secretary of Maintenance, but also is blended with child nutrition. Which has been very challenging this year, but we've gotten through it. But I can honestly say she knows more than most people and actually does everything that's asked of her. So it's really appreciated. The second person I'm going to announce is what we consider an area manager, which really almost took over the role of the supervisor role. So in other words, we would constantly be in contact. She would come in, we'd talk to, actually, and Deborah, I like you, but we talk way too much. We would talk on weekends, but what I can tell you is when I called, she responded, and she came out and she did everything right. So first off, I want to recognize Miss Abby Hugh. And the second one is Miss Deborah Meyer. I don't think they're going to say anything. They were they were like, I can't believe you're going to, that just shows you what kind of character they are. They really don't want to be recognized, but I do think we have some unsung heroes that are behind the scenes, and these are two that definitely have shown up when we asked them to.
Thank y'all. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, receive Assumption Parish School System, School Attendance and Program Report.
I think Ms. Melissa put a copy of the presentation in the packet. Okay, I want to preface this with saying I'm not here to make a recommendation. I'm just here to present facts. This is some information that previously we discussed about enrollment. We talked about why the enrollment is declining. We talked about where our kids are going. So I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and get some factual information so I could present to the board and our community. And how is that impacting funding and resources? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Assumption Parish census data, Assumption Parish school system enrollment data, understand the reasons why students exit, and understand how our solution over the years to decline in enrollment and parish population impact the student experiences and teacher workload. So in your first graph, you can see Assumption Parish census data. That's throughout our parish. So in 2010, we had 23,421 people, individuals in our community. In 2020, we had 21,039, which was a decline of 2,382, which was about 10%. So you can see the population, the decrease of population over the years. I dug a little bit deeper. The portion of the population that represents ages 0 to 4 decreased from 6.3% in 2010 to 5.1% in 2021. The portion of our population that represented 65 and older in 2010 was 13.5% of our population. In 2021, represented 19.9%. So you can see our babies, we actually have a decline as far as ages 0 to 4, but we had an increase ages 65 and older. Assumption Parish population increased 1 out of the 11 years between 2010 and 2021. Its largest annual population increase was 0.6 between 2012 and 2013. The parish's largest decline between 2019 and 2020, when the population dropped about 4.3%. Between 2010 and 2021, the parish population decreased by an average of 1.1%. And I want to also look at our enrollment data. The blue line represents students entering into kindergarten. The yellow line, gold line represents students in 12th grade. So in 2012, 2013, we had 300 kindergartens enrolled in Assumption Parish School System, compared to 203 in 2023, which was a decrease of about 32%. So you can see our enrollment in 2012, 2013 was at 300 into kindergarten. In 2022, 2023, we're now at 203. The number of graduates decreased by an average of 7 students per year over a 10-year period. In 2012, 2013, we had 250 students in our senior class. 2022, 2023, we have 178. So eventually, what you see here is, eventually we're going to start graduating more kids than we take in, because the number of kids enrolling in the school system is decreasing at a faster rate than the students that are leaving our school system. So I dug a little deeper. So I started to look at cohorts. So that is just enrollment data. That is just kids coming into our system and kids exiting our system. I wanted to track what happens to the students who start in a cohort and finishes in a cohort. So if you look at 2018 graduating class of 248 students started with a cohort. They started in kindergarten with 303 students, they decreased over the 12-year period by 55 students. The 2023 graduating class of 178 started with a cohort of 263 in kindergarten, was decreased by 85 students. Reasons, and I don't want to rush because I'll open the floor up, but I want to get through the PowerPoint. So reasons. So when we look at the reasons, we have exit codes. So for the 2022-2023 school year, you can see out of country, out of district, within district, home study, private, parochial, and other. And you can see the percentages where out of state represented 17.3%, moved out of district 46%, within the district 8.5%, that's just within school to school. Home study 14.6%, private school, parochial school 3.7%, and then 9.1% for other. So just give us a snapshot of where people are going. And the last but not least, the slide, I want to talk a little bit about how does that impact our MFP, money we receive from the state. So you can see in 2013, we received $23,350,658 from the State Department. In 2023, we received for upcoming school year, $19,470 and, $19,470,384. So you can see a decrease of $3,880,273, decrease from 2013 to 2023. So you can see the impact that it's having on the funding that we received from the State Department. And we removed all of the funding that we received from the state that basically comes in and goes out, like CDF funds and different things that we just collect, but we give those, we ship those completely out. This is the money that we actually receive that we can actually budget off of. And I just have a graph just to show a trend line. So you can see just a trend line, how that's decreasing. All right, solutions. So what we did previously, and I say this, we looked at it from a financial standpoint, not an educational standpoint, in my opinion. Meaning, whenever we would have a decline in enrollment, we would cut. We cut personnel, we cut teachers, we cut support workers, we cut support staff, teacher support, administrators, to balance out the budget. That is one way that you can say we're going to solve the problem. But what happens as a result, we pull all of the different things out of the schools that really make the experience great. It's almost like a mini reduction in force every year. So if we shorten, like for example, I have here, if we lose 100 teachers, if we lose 100 students, that's around $1 million, we cut teachers, we cut personnel staff. Eventually, we're not going to be able to cut anymore. You know, we get to a point where I think we need to really kind of like figure out a way that we could better serve our community, even though we're looking at the current financial state. So my recommendation would be, can we maybe formulate a committee to really look at our system and say, hey, what is the best system that we could provide to the children of Assumption Parish and for our teachers so they could be successful? Formulate that committee, let's look at some data, let's make a recommendation to the board so we could actually say, hey, this is the best option that we believe is for our schools and for our employees. And that is, I just want to present some data. I don't want to get into what you think about this, what you think about that, Mr. B. I think this work is better served in a committee and have multiple stakeholders a part of the conversation. Now I'm opening it up for questions softly. Very, very soft.
So for the purpose of our audience, you heard the number, how we had that substantial decrease in the MFP, which is our state funding mechanism. Per student, for every student that we lose, that roughly hit us about $10,000 per student, because it's based on a per pupil basis. So when you're talking about 100 students, there you go right there. That go $1 million that comes off our budget. So those losses are very, very significant to us. So when you go back, when you talk about some of the biggest decrease for students not returning to school was during the 2019-2020 school year. If all you remember, that was the COVID years, right? And a lot of parents, they got comfortable with their kids virtual learning at home. So that's what why that number there, that 14.7% loss right there. That's what that was attributed to, was the COVID years. So again, you know, Dr. B, this report is spot on, and I can tell you, you know, I tell the parents, you know, look right there in my community, I can tell you, you know, we lost like about 2 families, you know, 2 families out there that took 8 kids out of Assumption Parish schools. However, you know, look, the kids don't have no choice. If parents don't want to drive back and forth, crossing that bridge, crossing 2 railroad tracks between Assumption and the east side of the river, you know, they got to follow their parents. So that's what happened right there, you know. And then you're talking about 8 kids in one school year. So those losses are very significant and very costly to the school district. Thank you again, Doc. Good job.
Yeah, thank you for the report, too. The last couple of days, I went to a Capitol conference, and we're talking about these things with legislators. So please follow the legislative session right now. It's a financial session. Some of these bills that are being held up, make phone calls 5 times a day to them, letting them know that we need this to pass. We need the MFP funding to be at 4.75. And if you dig into that a little bit, there's a standard. It's about $4,015 as a standard per student. Well, not everybody gets per student. Sometimes it's multiplied, sometimes you get the standard. It's based on student needs, it's based on the community needs, poverty in communities, it's based on a lot of things. It's a very simple and complicated formula, but if you can research for an hour, go and look at it, and then call your representative's office and let them know that we need this to pass, especially for communities like us where we don't have the tax revenue and we rely on this to operate our system. And I think Dr. B hit it on the head where he said, in the past, we focused more of our percentage on financial stability rather than educational stability and services for the community, for our teachers and kids. We need to move away from that and look at it more of an educational service moving forward, and look at how our system is going to look in 5 and 10 and 20 years based on our enrollment numbers and based on the services we can provide. And that's the conversation we need to have, and have good representation from the community on the committee fast. So we can talk about this through the summer and get a plan rolling.
Yep. Thank you, Josh. I agree with you. We have been running a business, and we have not focused on our school system and our teachers and our faculty. And I think now it's time that we turn the tables and do what's right for our students and our faculty.
Yeah, I think we do run a bit. Let's not, you know, crosshead. We do run a business, but we are in the business of educating children. That's our main goal. We do have to operate fiscally. You know, we have to be fiduciary to our tax base and to our community and our citizens, but the business we're in is educating children. So everything that we do has to be geared towards 100% effort and not take away any effort away from that and deviate from that. So.
Yeah, and I think you need to, the committee is a great idea, and I saw some of the ideas that you have in the pamphlet as far as attracting people to the school. And that, a lot of that has to do with the way, the appearance, the facilities we have, upgrading, and yeah, we just need to come off some money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I got on the board, because 4 of my friends took 12 of their kids out of this parish in the last 2 years. Just friends of mine. We had thought about it for a while too. I mean, my kids have been here for a while, but that's why I got into it, to try to get us more educationally focused rather than running a bank account. So, yeah.
So the makeup of this committee, what do you think?
Well, obviously, I definitely believe we need all stakeholders at the table. So you need community members, you need students, you need board members, you need principals, you need teachers. You know, in my opinion, because this, you know, whatever we decide to recommend to the school board, I think we need different thinking partners, you know, from different backgrounds and different experiences, so we all can understand each other with, hey, this is what impacts my community, or this is what impacts my grade level. So by having a diverse education level, business owners to be a part of this committee, I think it'll serve well, in my opinion.
And I think we talked about that, like it's going to be messy.
Well, after, you know, we're getting ready to close out this fiscal year. I think we could start that work immediately once school ends. You know, I think in a couple of weeks we could start putting some fillers out there to see, or even recommendations to see who would be willing to serve. Because I think this work is going to be intense. I think this work is going to take some time, because we need to look at all aspects of our school system and make an informed educational recommendation to the board, in my opinion. So I can't see this as a flyby, come into a meeting, sit down, you know, a couple hours, and then we fix the world's problems. I think what has to happen is we have to take a lot of input and then present that information to the board for obviously make an informed decision.
Yeah, and I also think it goes without saying that we need to get with our teachers and our faculty to see what their concerns are. Are we having discipline issues? Are we having issues, too many students in the class, not enough teachers? They need to be a focal point, because if their morale is low, then everybody's morale is low, right? So I think that ought to be a huge part of the committee, is the faculty.
And I think when we talked recently, I put a message out to, you know, people that I talked to in that watch, but we're going to have thick skins as we go through this, because it's going to take some big changes and shifts to get where we need to be, and it's going to be a little messy, and, you know, feelings are probably going to get hurt, and the community is going to have to come together over arguments and disagreements and things, but we have to push past that as fast and as efficient as we can, and root through it and come out together in the end. But it'll be messy, you know?
And I mean, just something as simple as Mr. Ron was at the chamber meeting. He just made a comment. He said, man, Dr. B, I remember when I was in school, we used to go to the Sanger Theater. We had drama club. We had speech club. You know, all the different things that help make a well-rounded student. You know, over the years, we've kind of, and look, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but we kind of pulled away to balance our budget. But I think we really need to look at it from a holistic standpoint and say, okay, you know, how can we, even in the current situation with our funding that we have, how can we create the best experience for our students while also supporting our teachers? Ms. Kathy's going to get up here, and she's going to tell you we got 3 programs that we're going to push out this school year, and it's all about supporting our teachers. You remember Ms. Cindy? You remember, I think Ms. Jessica had a position in central office as well. That was there to support our teachers. So you lose that, and then where our teachers, especially the 0 to 5 year teachers, and we all know that most of our teachers leave the profession, the number one reason is because of the lack of support. So we have to make sure that we reinvest or shift some monies around to make sure that from an instructional standpoint, we're doing the best we can, not only for our students, but for our teachers as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very well done.
Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Kathy, receive information on Assumption Parish School System Grow Our Own initiative.
Good evening, everyone. I come before you this afternoon to present some information to you on our district's Grow Our Own initiative. This initiative has been a collaborative effort between several individuals, Dr. B, Mr. Shannon Claymore, myself, Ms. Rachel Dugas, and our 3 district master teachers, Ms. Rhea Blanchard, Ms. Tina Diaz, and Ms. Hallie Thibodeau, who are all here with us tonight. So I thank them for coming. As we know, teacher shortage has grown across our state, across our nation. So we have to be creative in thinking about how do we get individuals eager and interested in wanting to become a part of the teaching profession. How can we recruit and retain uncertified individuals? How can we recruit future educators from among our students who are sitting in our classrooms here with us in Assumption Parish? And then how can we provide that intensive support for those teachers who are new teachers who have 1 to 3 years experience in those classrooms so that they hopefully are here with us for a long time? The next slide shows you some Louisiana workforce data, and this shows you the percentage of classes taught by teachers who were out of their field or uncertified teachers. If you notice, science, math, and social studies had the largest percent of uncertified teachers. So with that being said, there is a need to recruit and retain certified teachers. So our hope is that by the end of this presentation, all stakeholders will understand what our Grow Our Own initiative involves and understand that the programs are highly collaborative, community-rooted programs that provide intensive support, including recruiting and retaining diverse educators for our children in our classrooms. If we're in the business of education, we want to make sure that we have those individuals in our classrooms that are highly qualified individuals providing instruction to our students from one day to the next. The first initiative is the Teacher Certification Cohorts, which is going to help us to recruit and retain more certified teachers. Teacher certification cohorts will give pathways to teaching careers. The purpose of these pathways will be to recruit and retain staff as well as community members to become certificated teachers. And this will help to address the teacher shortage that we persistently have, as well as increase diversity in the workforce. And approximately $85,000 would be needed for both models. And based on these models, teachers would be required to sign a 3-year contract once they are done and commit to Assumption Parish School District. The 2 pathways include the post-baccalaureate pathway. This pathway would be teachers who are enrolled in an alternative certification program. And through this program, a TAT or a PL would be given at the end of year 1. And just to give you a little bit background, as far as the TAT, this is something that Louisiana Employing School Systems can receive to be able to employ certified teachers while they're in these out-cert programs. The second program or pathway is the undergraduate program. This is for non-degreed individuals. And this would be a partnership with an accredited university where individuals work on high-quality, job-embedded undergraduate degrees in education. Both teacher certification cohorts would have the expectations of completing the required praxis assessments, making sure that they are enrolled in an approved post-secondary institute or an alternative teaching certification program. They would be a part of our school district's trainer educator support team, where in that they would have mentor support throughout the program. And then they would have to, of course, as we mentioned earlier, be eligible for a TAT or a PL. 100% of their tuition would be reimbursed to them after successful completion of the approved post-secondary institution or the alt-cert program. And while under this status, they would have to reapply for their position or another position within our district according to guidelines that are set forth by LDOE. And of course, again, we're looking at making sure that they agree to commit to our district for 3 years after completion. Currently, we have 8 potential degree candidates in our district who would fall under the alt-cert program, and we have 48 employees who would actually fall under the accredited university partnership, where they could work on earning a degree and become certified in education. I'll open up for any questions for this program right now.
Would most of those be the subs that we have on staff right now, that 48?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Those are your long-term subs and your paraprofessionals that are non-degreed.
So my big question with that would be, how are they going to be paid if they're enrolled in this program with us? Would they be paid as a sub? Because we do have some people working for us now that have been working 3, 4, 5 years and getting paid as a sub, but they're really a full-time, in essence, a full-time teacher. That might be a question for you later, but yeah. But I would want to know how they would be, I'm sure they'll know, but how they'll be compensated. Would they be compensated as a sub while they're enrolled in this program? Or would they have a package where they would enroll in retirement and get, PTO, that kind of stuff?
Our initial recommendation would be to hire them on as a full-time paraprofessional, where they can actually receive benefits in addition to the services that we're going to provide to get them certified. So, because we looked at it and I said, you know what, they need to receive the benefits just like every other employee in our district. So the pay would be paraprofessional, but also all of our bonuses, all of our health insurance, they would qualify for.
Yeah. I know that the tuition reimbursement is a big dollar amount, but still, we need to compensate them fairly otherwise. And since we're requiring them to sign a contract, I like that, yeah.
What happens if the contract not honored by
The 3-year contract?
if it's not honored, what happens?
So in the contract, there's some language in there, and obviously we have to get with legal, but they will be required to return the funds to Assumption Parish School System. We train people, I could think of bus drivers. We train bus drivers, then they leave, and drive somewhere else. So I think this is an opportunity where we can actually hire our own and have them dedicated to Assumption Parish for at least 3 years. So to answer your question, Ms. Elected, it's in the contract. If they do not honor it, they have to return the funds that we put forward.
Any other questions about this initiative? The second initiative of our Go Squared is Educators Rising. Educators Rising is a community-based movement in which chapter schools feed teacher preparation programs at institutes of higher education with supports from the state departments of education. We would identify and support pre-educators within our own schools, beginning with Assumption High School, and recruiting those juniors and seniors in Assumption High School who are interested in this pre-educator pathway. We would also open a club membership up to 9th and 10th graders to begin to get those other students interested, hopefully, in becoming a part of this program to work on, earning those Carnegie units that they can get from it. The Carnegie units would be earned for 2 different courses, Ed Rising 1 and Ed Rising 2. They could also earn potential college credit up to 6 hours by completing micro credentials. And this is in partnership with Nicholls State University. And last week, we attended a stakeholders meeting, our team here, along with Mr. Claymore. And at the meeting, we received additional information on the Ed Rising curriculum and the program. And Nicholls is extremely excited because Assumption Parish School District has been the first to say, hey, look, we want a partnership with you, and we want to try to recruit as many high school students to become part of this program. Some of the activities that these students would be involved in would include field experiences and observations within our district. They would have university field trip opportunities. There are conferences at the regional, state, and national level where these students could participate and attend. They also are able to attend the Louisiana State Departments of Education's Teacher Leader Summit, and then they would have the opportunity to have guest speakers, whether it be on the local level or the university level, come in. Some of the funding sources would be the Phi Delta Kappa Educational Foundation, which can subsidize the cost of the curriculum, and then also the College Football Playoff Foundation, the Extra Yard for Teachers, which elevates the teaching profession by inspiring and empowering teachers. And then also we would have, of course, other additional funding sources to come in and help with this program. I'll open it up for any questions at this time about our Educators Rising.
And I want to say, we supply all other professions with workers, potential workers. But it's time for the educational profession to start investing in their own. We have an opportunity across the state, across this country, because we have all of the kids in our school system. So we needed to create our own program to grow our own teachers from Assumption Parish. And you know as well as I know, when you have teachers who work in the community, who live in the community, who pay tax in the community, it's a win for everyone. And I think if we invest in our own, just like we're doing with our Grow Your Own model, with our degree and non-degree initiative, I think we're going to benefit from this from years to come.
And Ms. Rhea has taken the lead on this one, and Ms. Rhea has already reached out to Assumption High School. And Ms. Rhea, can you tell us how many candidates at this time potentially?
Right now, we have 5.
Good.
So it's a start. Start with 5, and then we hope to continue to grow.
They recommend only 5 to 10 initially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with,
What grades are they
11 and 12.
so with both of these programs, how many people in here have been a teacher before? You raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've been a teacher before. How many of y'all have great stories to tell all these kids that are here? And how many of y'all have some stories to tell these kids? So I think, the people that are going to be most influential, and be honest with these kids that are in this program, especially the 11th and 12th graders, be honest. Like, I can see a few faces in here that I know y'all been through hell in the trenches, and y'all been through the greatest points in your careers too. But be honest with them too, because the industry I'm in, the school that sells these, the culinary schools that sell these degrees to these kids, they make it very nice and shiny, and everything's clean. And I fire more kids that come out of culinary school than I do kids that just work and come through it and go through the trenches. And it's kind of this, I love partnering with Nichols. My wife went there too, and they have great programs, but still, they sell degrees. It's better that we're doing this because we can be honest with them and they can work with the teachers that they've had, and that will be their mentors if they graduate. But please be honest with them. Don't sugarcoat, because it's a detriment, you know, yeah.
Yes.
You know, Ms. Davis, we need to stay close to the kids.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes our kids go off to college and we think, okay, you know, they're off to college, they're gonna, no, we have to create a cohort around those kids. It's almost like that family where we stay connected with those kids all the way through college and then bring them back home. So I think a part of this program is, in addition to, hey, we're gonna provide these opportunities, I think the family, the community, that involvement, I think our kids are gonna greatly benefit from.
Yeah, and I can tell you, looking at these teachers, I promise you, they're not gonna sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they should sugarcoat it, just like I was a teacher. But most of the time, if you're a teacher, it's just the loyalty. That's what you want to be. The pay and everything else. You're going to go to school, just like that lady said, 41 years, and she was happy every day. Any job you go to as a teacher or anything else, you're going to have the hiccups. You're going to have the people with different names and everything else. But at the end of the day, you love being a teacher. And that's what goes with it. You love being a teacher.
The passion is there.
The passion is there, no matter what.
And the last of the Grow Our Own initiatives is the new teacher induction. This program would provide a purposeful, systematic approach to support new teachers who have 1 to 3 years experience. Currently, we have 29 teachers in our district that would fall into this program. It would help to improve instruction with the support being provided to these teachers. It would help to raise student achievement and then also retain those quality educators that we want in our classrooms day in and day out with our students. This graph shows the years of public experience of exiting teachers from 2016 to 2019. Approximately 50% of teachers leave within their first 5 years of teaching. And they find it, new teachers find it difficult to transfer what they've learned in their courses into the classroom. So being there for them, providing this support to them, will help them to make those connections to what they have learned into the classrooms in our district. They also require new teachers more classroom management training, support, and mentorship from veteran teachers as well as administrators. There are 4 tiers to the new teacher induction program. The first tier is the new teacher orientation. All new hires for the 23-24 school year would attend this one-day event, and district personnel would present to these new teachers the policies, the procedures, curriculum would be presented to them, as well as the technology to be used in the classrooms today. The second tier of the new teacher experience is professional learning modules that these teachers would engage in. And you can see that there are 5 areas of these learning modules that teachers engage in: classroom management and environment, standards and curriculum, literacy of 21st century learners, data literacy, and parent and community engagement. And then also there would be affinity groups that they would participate in, where they link new teachers by a common purpose or interest, ensure an inclusive environment where they feel valued and empowered to succeed, and then help them to improve their craft through collaborations, discussions, and purposeful materials and leadership in the group. The third tier would be bi-monthly district new teacher collaboration meetings, where they would have professional learning modules, asynchronous work check-ins, and they would have share fairs of their new learning that they have implemented in the classrooms on their campuses. And then the fourth tier includes assigning these individuals a mentor teacher. They would meet with their mentor teachers at least once a week, and these mentor teachers would provide the teachers support in these areas of need, whether it be the classroom management, lesson planning and annotation, or understanding the curriculum. Are there any questions at this time?
I think that sounds like a very well thought out plan.
So we actually at this time would like to bring up Miss Stacy Buxton. She is a teacher at Labadeville Primary School who has actually participated in the new teacher induction program, and we would like for her to come share some of her experience with you.
Good evening. I am involved with the modules and the affinity group. They're two totally different. The affinity group is an amazing support. Things that you don't know what you're getting into. You go into the classroom, you've given this material, you start teaching, then you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? But having someone to go to talk to, that mentor teacher would be amazing. Because you're given the material. I can understand where they say coming from school, an accredited college, you sit that person in, they took all these tests, they got everything they need. You give them that material to go in and teach, and it's a deer in headlights. Because being a student and then teaching students is two different worlds. So the affinity group, amazing support. You get to talk about things. You talk about things with your peers, what they're going through, the same things, and you feel like you're not alone. The modules, on the other hand, we were able to work with, and we worked with all of who went from Assumption, high school, middle school, and primary level. We collaborated together. So we understood from the high school point what they were lacking, but they understood also from the primary and middle level where the connections are made. So it's a super great experience. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. It's been years since I graduated from Nichols, but I remember we had internship to do last 12 hours before we went into the classroom for our semester, before we graduated. Y'all didn't get that, where you have an intern, where you work with, have a classroom with a credit teacher to supervise you for?
They do still have that. It just depends on who chooses those schools to come in. But when I tell you, do I think it's enough? No.
No, I'm saying we had 12, we had to stay in.
12 hours?
No, it was work 12 credit hours. We stayed a whole semester. In one classroom with a teacher, and they let you have the classroom in their hours, and then you start teaching the class the rest of the semester. So I'm saying, do y'all have that where you did your internship? Y'all don't have that.
It's a little different, Ms. Electa. Now they call it residencies.
Okay.
So now it's a year-long, come up real quick, Shannon, speak to. Now it's a year-long residency where we actually have 4 or 5 residents this year.
Yes, the state has transitioned into, which used to be old student teaching, which was just a
Right.
permanent
Yep.
semester.
Right.
So now what they do is they have residencies. There's a residency 1, which is, and it's different cohorts, so it could happen at any time. But there's residency 1, which comes in for 1 semester, and at that point, they're assigned a spot inside of a location, and then that is followed up by another semester. So they got to go through a full year now in order to do this. I do think that the curriculum has kind of shrunk a little bit in the universities in order to get this happen, but it does add on more time for them to become a teacher. So if we do find the only issue we find, most teachers do need that extra time to be prepared, but there are some teachers that come out, can do it in a semester, and they're kind of pigeonholed and taking a whole year. So that is kind of a downfall. But we did have 4. At this moment, we have transitioned and slotted in 3 of the 4 that we have. We're still trying to recruit one right now, but right now I don't have a spot for what he's requesting. So hopefully we can kind of convince him to stay.
I'm asking for the program that they presented to us. Do they have internship already for that program? That's what I'm asking.
No.
That's just a university standard.
Okay.
So what they're
'Cause that's what
presenting, what
she's
they're
saying.
presenting to you now is going to be it's going to be monitored by the district, and that's why she gave you the timelines of either biweekly meetings, cohorts, so we can keep them together, so we can actually they feel more supported as they go throughout the first couple of years of teaching.
Well, that's what she's saying, and that's what I'm addressing now, that she's saying that you get thrown in a classroom. You do the work and this and that. If you have a mentor teacher, it helps. But if she go through the training, like having a classroom, I'm saying that should be implemented then, because at least that's what would help them when they get through
Correct.
Yes.
Because the current makeup is we do some of the things she talks about now. But it's just a skeleton version of
Right.
it. So, because there's really not a timetable, we do meet with them in the beginning for a day, we do introduce a lot of stuff she has, but there was never a plan of how to follow up. So, the rule is mandate and monitor. Well, we try to mandate a program or implement a program that we can monitor as we see fit in a timeline.
Okay, I'm just saying we should take a second look and get them in a classroom.
If I misled, I apologize. What I meant by that was the support is tremendous.
No,
When
you
you're
said
going
that.
through it.
You said that. But I'm saying, you say you get thrown into a classroom.
I didn't, I said wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
No,
you do have to
yeah.
support. But it's better, I'm just saying, it's better to me if they have somebody, you go in a classroom for a semester or whatever, and this and that. You did well. You did well. I'm just saying where you need
I'd
help.
like to clarify that Miss Stacy is a fantastic
Oh, I'm
paraprofessional
saying she
at
is.
Labradorville Primary who stepped into a teaching role because of a vacancy that could not be filled. So we are thrilled and so grateful that she's doing
And
that
I'm
for
not
us.
saying nothing.
So that's the reason
You get a big
why-
pat on your back, but I'm saying since we see that leak, that split, we should implement them by going into a classroom a semester or less. But they get that semester where they working with a teacher under a teacher advised. That's what I'm saying, babe. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I pat you on the back.
So,
yes.
just to kind of come full circle, the state came out with an initiative called the New Teacher Experience. And Ms. Brandy, her principal, found it and said, oh gosh, could we participate in this? So we were very fortunate that this year in a pilot, we had teachers like Ms. Stacy, who had the option to participate in the affinity groups, which was put on by one of the universities, and then the modules was put on by APEL. Stacy chose to do both. She is such an overachiever. She's actually going to be showcased by the State Department at Teacher Leader Summit. Her trip is fully paid for by the State Department, so kudos on that.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Ms. Rachel.
so that little experiences is how we built up what we're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel.
And look, I'm known to be aggressive, baby. I'm not being aggressive. You don't have to change your wording. I was just trying to help out where
Yeah.
you saw the split. Right, that's all.
Good job.
You did great, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So the goal of our initiative is to grow a pipeline of qualified educators to provide instruction to our students in our classrooms each and every day. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any further questions at any point in time, and we're really looking forward to implementing this initiative.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Catherine.
Thank you, Ms.
If
Catherine.
there's
Thank you to the
anything we
committee
can
as
do
well.
to help.
And we do have our committee members in here, so Ms. Rhea, Ms. Christine, thank you all, Ms. Rachel, Mr. Claymore, thank you all for working on this for the district. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, next, we're going to recognize Belrose Primary School and Napoleonville Middle School as the Louisiana Comeback Schools of the Year.
Yes. Just real quick, I would like to read a letter from Mr. Brumley. This is a general letter, but dear system leader, Louisiana students are coming back stronger, and you and your educators are leading this movement. The Louisiana Department of Education is recognizing the impact educators have made with students despite facing extraordinary obstacles over the past 2 years. My team and I have traveled the state to honor our 41 Louisiana comeback campuses over the past few months. These schools increase percentage of students scoring master and above and decrease students scoring unsatisfactory in both ELA and math on statewide assessments when compared to 2019. High school campuses receive the Comeback Award if they increase their ACT scores. For our two schools, Louisiana also fortunate to have 155 schools meet the comeback designation either in ELA or math. We want to help honor and celebrate those school communities on their progress. And then that's when we have some banners that we received from the State Department. So kudos, congratulations to the Napoleonville Middle School, their faculty, their staff, and their community, those students, and also Belrose Primary, that faculty, that staff, and that community as well. So congratulations. We just want to recognize those schools. Congratulations.
All right, next in policy and procedure, authorize the superintendent to schedule a finance committee meeting on May 17th, 2023 at 5 p.m. I need a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Abass, second by Ms. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Under budget, authorize the superintendent to advertise for paper goods, cleaning supplies, and chemicals, custodial supplies, quotes for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Need a motion? Moved by Ms. Washington, second by Ms. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Item B, authorize the superintendent to advertise for garbage collection and disposal quotes for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025. Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cooney, second by Mr. Abe. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, authorize the superintendent to hire a supervisor of curriculum and instruction, middle, secondary, career tech ed.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lewis, second by Ms. Dot. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. Under facilities and ground, authorize the superintendent to move forward with the cooperative endeavor agreement for the Assumption High School gym floor renovation project with the estate of Mr. Timothy Barbier and Classic Hardwood Floors LLC, and for the execution thereof by the appropriate parties. I need a motion. Motion by Ms.
Second.
Cooney, second by everybody.
I just want to make sure that the board, obviously this is 100% paid for by his estate. And also in doing this and voting on this tonight, we're agreeing to have his name on the court. So I just want to make sure that we all aware.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. Okay. All right. Comments and announcements.
I have two announcements. Mr. Claymore, come on up if you don't mind. I'm very, very proud to announce we hired an accountant, one of our very, very own, Ms. Chanel, if you don't mind standing up. Congratulations, ma'am.
Ms. Mickens has been with the business department for
17 years, I think.
17 years, for a while. Her last position, she was the business secretary, staff secretary.
Yeah.
She does have a business degree. So I think the transition is going to go very smoothly because she has a lot of background that's built into it over the 17 years of experience, but we want to congratulate her for the promotion to that position.
Congratulations.
Also, and I did mention it, and I kind of ran off and sat down, but we do have a supervisor of child nutrition. He is local, which is a good thing. We always like to hire local because we know that, when you do hire someone, they a little more, they're not that more invested, they actually stay because they have kids here and what it goes. But our new supervisor of child nutrition is Mr. Justin Dewey.
So I've had the pleasure of working with Justin for a little bit. You need to tell Chris that I didn't have anything to do with you getting hired here. So Justin was a research chef with a local company here, and we've worked together in the restaurant industry for a little bit. So when I found out it was him, I was like, this is the perfect person for the job. I think you're going to do a great job. Congratulations, man.
All right. Okay. Ms. Dot, you have anything?
Yes, I was told and asked that, is there any way we can put into our system to where parents can pay Venmo or, I think we have some schools that are doing it already, but our parents are saying that, you know, every day there's something new, and if they forget to send the money, it would be easy for them to send it through the Venmo or
I think that's
whatever
something we're gonna
else
have
they
to
do.
talk about. We're gonna have to discuss that,
I know
yeah.
that NPS has like a school online system that we pay with
Yeah.
for aftercare and such things like that, but I'm not sure about the Venmo thing, if that's even.
Just real quick, we do have an online system where parents can purchase or submit funding in for fees. I have Mr. Dower, he's looking into whether or not we can kind of extend that a little bit more into like ticket sales and stuff like that. So we do have it for fees. So if the schools put all of their fees online, parent could go in and they could pay all their fees for the year. But I'm wondering, what she's researching, can we do it for like ticket sales and things like that? So to answer your question, Ms. Dodd, we do have it, but we want to make sure if we can expand that.
Some of the concerns are that, like, when we do Venmo or whatever, we are charged so much. So would the school have to absorb that cost? Or can we look at a program to where we can charge the parents, like if it's $10, it'd be $10.25 instead of $10? Because if not, then the school will be charged for that transaction. Anytime you use a credit card today, at most places, they do charge you a fee for using your credit card.
We'll look into it.
Yeah,
No problem.
that's something
Yep,
we have to
we'll look into it. I understand the concern.
But also, if we do this, the secretaries are already overwhelmed. And that's one of the negative sides. So would you please look into it to how much it would involve and how much work it would involve for our secretary?
Okay, okay. Will do.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Abraham, second by Mr. Lewis. All in favor?
Aye.